Okay, hi, we're live. This is an artist spotlight with Jeanne O'Neil and Erin O'Neil, and we're talking about the current exhibit that we have at our Northwest Minnesota Arts Council Gallery at Northland in Thief River Falls. And the exhibit is called Fiddle Tunes, Fiber Folk, and Prairie Prints. We're going to be talking about Jeanne and Erin's music, musical booklet that was put out, and it's probably called something different than a booklet. I'm sorry about that. The fiber folk and some prairie prints. I'm Kristin Eggerling. I'm the promotion specialist with the Arts Council, and Jeanne and Erin are here, and Trey Everett from our office, our showcase specialist.
Yeah, so I'm Trey, and thanks for joining us. And yeah, so this is a wonderful exhibit that's up at Northland Community and Technical College, as Kristin said. And this exhibit is up until the end of April. And you can go to the exhibit Monday through Friday during normal college hours, which is 8 o'clock to 5. And you enter door B, as in boy, and it's there in the front. You walk in, and the gallery is just to your right when you walk in. And so it's a great gallery full of all kinds of prints that Jeanne does, but also Erin's work with these fiber folk. And we'll see both of those in just a little bit. And then also Erin is showcasing her Fiddle Tunes book. So that's something that's there in the gallery that you can take a look at, and that's also for sale. So I just wanted to mention all that. And we will have a reception on Wednesday, April 24th from 6 to 8. And then the O'Neil family, including Tom, will be playing some tunes for the reception. There'll be food and drinks. So we encourage you to
party.
Yes, party.
Dancing too, if anybody wants.
Oh.
Yeah, so why don't we start with both of you introducing yourself and just tell us who you are and what different types of art and music you are involved in.
You go first.
Okay. I'm Erin O'Neil, and I am a fiddle player. And I've played since I started when I was 5, but I was too cranky to practice, so I had to take 2 years off. And then I started for real when I was 7. But I was always around music growing up, with my parents being clogging people who met in a clogging group in Iowa. So basically I've been dancing my whole life, even when I wasn't in this world yet. So yeah, it's kind of in my soul. So I play the fiddle, and I play for dances, and I also compose my own fiddle tunes. I do art, and I mostly do drawings, fiber, like sewing and quilting, and these fiber folk kind of built themselves up from my quilting background. I think that it's kind of like a folk art that I learned also growing up. And then I do some painting as well.
Okay. Oh, I'm Jeanne O'Neil, Erin's mom. And yes, I've been a musician and printmaker, but before printmaking, I was a mural painter and just always drew. I just always have drawn pictures ever since I was little. It's just what I do, I guess. And so I didn't find my way to printmaking till a little bit later, but it's just what I was supposed to be doing, I think. And the music is, like Erin said, it's traditional music. Tom and I met in group that was doing dancing and music, traditional Appalachian style. But before that, I was involved with international folk dancing that my parents used to take us to when we were little. And so I learned dancing from around the world and different music, but that wasn't live, because if you are dancing like Balkan tunes from the Balkan area and then Scandinavian, and then you don't have a band that's going to play all that. So it was all recorded music. But I discovered live music with dancing when I used to go to a place called Folklore Village in Wisconsin, and that changed everything. So I had to have that, I had to do that. So when I found this group that had just started from a couple that came up from the South, I joined that group, and that was live music and dancing. And so that's what we've been doing ever since, and holding dances where we can teach people the simple folk dances of America that comes from actually all over the world, really, when the roots of it. But so, and then the art I've been making prints and drawing and some painting, well, a lot of painting when I was a mural painter, some drawing, a lot of drawings, which turned into prints. And I was sort of accidentally found myself becoming an art teacher for the Artists in the Classroom program, which I thought was just going to be temporary, but it turned out I was doing that for 20 or 25 years. And it was fun. I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was really rewarding. And then in the last 5 years, I've been an instructor for printmaking at UND because they needed somebody to fill in. And so I've been doing that. So I guess so an overview.
This wasn't what I planned to ask about, but I'm just so curious about your murals, Jeanne, because this is the first I feel like I've heard about them.
Ah,
Yeah, me too.
yes. Well, actually, the mural painting was probably my first professional artist experience. It lasted, I think, for 5 or 6 or 7 years. I can't even remember now, but well, you know, just to make it colorful. I was trying to be a starving artist, I guess, kind of, and was working in a restaurant like a lot of artists do, and I hated it. And then I found that a friend of mine was doing graphics on the back of the buildings downtown in Ames, Iowa, and I thought, well, I could do that. So I applied for this graphics job where there was painting stripes. I thought, well, anybody could do that. And I got asked to do a mural instead. They said, well, we're doing this mural of senior citizens' memories for the bicentennial year coming up, and we need somebody. So I ended up jumping into the mural painting with another person that I had never met before, that we designed this mural together, and we painted it. And that turned into, we got another job, and then we found a couple more artists, and we became active artists, we called ourselves. There was 4 or 5 of us, and we did a lot. We did businesses that wanted artists, and then we got a big job in Ottumwa, Iowa, to do a downtown development project where we did 2 summers of painting murals all over different, like 7 different murals. One of them was 2 stories high, or even 3, and about a block long, and they were all, when I say murals, I mean, we were doing paintings, not graphics. They were like fully developed, completely 3-dimensional with all the detail. And we'd be way up, like 2 scaffoldings up. And somebody was like, why are you using a brush that's like tiny? Why nobody can see that? And I, like, but we can. You know, so they were really paintings on walls. And so it's been months, and always was sort of an amazing thing to me because I was really pretty young, to walk into a place and say, we want $2,500, which at that time was a lot of money for this mural. And they'd say, okay, and sign this contract. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, so and then people got other places to do and other things to do. And there was just 2 of us left, and we started doing murals in schools for a couple of years. There was a grant that came along. So we were going into public elementary schools and taking kids from each class and teaching them just so we'd have a group of about 20 and design and paint a mural with them. And then we would paint a mural in the school so they could see a professional mural. And so that, and then eventually I was the only one left. The last year I was doing it myself. But so that was my first big art gig, I guess. And also probably a huge training for me because all those artists I was painting with had been to pretty good art schools. I had not, but I learned a lot from them about painting and designing and drawing and making things big, and a lot, because it was a lot of painting for a number of years. So that, and then during that time we had a little art shop. I'll be done in a second. This leads into printmaking. We had a little art shop downtown with our little name, Active Artists, and just for a year we had that. And we were having a show, and I was working on a painting, but I'd been doing a lot of these little tiny drawings, drawings with really tiny detail and pen and ink drawings. And this artist that I kind of knew, who I admired, who was a woodcut artist who has since become a professor at the Institute of Chicago Art School. And Janine Coop writing, she's one of my inspirations. But she came in and she said, "Oh, if you're doing that kind of pen and ink work, you should be doing etchings." And I'm teaching an etching class at the Iowa State University craft club or craft, whatever it was. Like they did classes for the public through the university. And so I said, okay. So I signed up, and that was it. Like, okay, yeah, I should be doing this. So then I went back to school at Iowa State, and they had one printmaking teacher, and I took all his classes, and, so it's like, that was kind of like the beginning there.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. Yeah, I had no idea you did all that mural work.
It's in my secret past.
I'm going to ask you more about that at the reception, so okay. I want to hear more. But I want to move to Erin. I want to move to you. So tell us a little bit about your book, your compositions. What is it? What is the book? And then a second part to that is, what was that process like for you? Has this been years in the making? Is this something you decided, I'm going to do this? Or is this something that just kind of came together and you realized, hey, I've got all these original compositions, I'll put it together? So just that two-part question.
Okay. So yeah, the compositions kind of come up throughout my life. They're almost like poems and music. So just almost like journaling too with my instrument. Since I've been playing the instrument for so long, it's an extension of me, I feel. So it's like one of my voices. So when the tunes come out, they kind of just represent something. I don't always know what that thing is, and it's kind of fun to try to discover what maybe during my day it was that put that tune out there, or sometimes I'll just even catch something I feel from the air and I don't even know what it is, but I always know when it is right, and sometimes it'll be just an exercise tune that comes out that later on I'll just say, no, that one wasn't quite, representative of the one, the one tune that was it. But so over the years now, I started composing when I was 11. Over the years now, it's been over 300 tunes that are coming out. I mean, being that it's kind of a journaling thing, that's going to happen. So I just started accumulating the tunes, and they're all really good tunes, the ones that I keep. So I tried to work with, at one point, a classical transcriber. And he was really good at transcribing, really good, but he didn't know about folk music. So he was trying to do what he knew. So I worked with him for a while, and I I paid him to do some transcribing. We got 90 tunes or something done, but it wasn't like if somebody else would try to play them, it didn't have the right feel.
Or it was confusing.
Or it was confusing to them because it just wasn't quite the right fit for it's interesting trying to translate from classical music to folk music, because folk music I play by ear. So it's like you follow the rules, but you have to kind of know about the kind of music in order to get it down the right way. So I did that with the one person, but I didn't ever go farther with it. I couldn't quite edit it. So that was my first attempt. That was a few years ago. I just knew I wanted to try to get him down, but I don't write music I can slowly, but it would be a very long process for me to try to get this all done myself. So last year, I think we met a couple folk musicians coming through with a band called Links, and one of them's originally from Norway, the other one's originally from Sweden. They're immigrants and they are around my age. So it's kind of fun to connect that way too. But and they are just trying to do their music. I think they're both teaching as well. And one of them's driving Uber sometimes, trying to make it. They're amazing musicians. So the one who's from Norway, Vidar Skreed, I found out does transcribing, and he is very precise, and I really enjoyed working with him. I just kind of suggested, since it's still been inside of me, wanting to get this project somehow out there, the idea of putting a book together. So I just kind of suggested, if you were to transcribe my tunes, I'd have to pay you. And he's like, oh yes, I need a job. So that was our conversation. It wasn't very long, but it seemed like a go if it was possible. So I wrote a grant for the project so I could pay him. And so we did work pretty well together. We did most of it through Skype. Or I would send him a digital file of my playing by ear, and then he would listen to it and write out what he heard. And then once he did his first draft of that, then he would send it to me and I could try to look at it, but I really had to hear it in order for it to know whether it was good. So then we would go edit them through Skype, and that was pretty great. I think it was great. It worked out, and but it would be a lot of back and forth playing little bits, of the tunes so that he could get, like I said, I loved how precise he was, and he was very into getting the ornaments, each one, that would happen. Although a simple version would be no ornaments, like taking out the ornaments, and then he would add ornaments to the fiddle version. So in the booklet, there's 2 versions of each tune, one for miscellaneous instruments, and the second one is for fiddle. So that one has more different little diddlies and stuff that you might play with that tune. Did that answer both questions enough?
Yeah, well, and tell us about how many tunes are in the book.
Oh yeah, so this one, since it was sort of a lengthy process getting all these edits and stuff, so we ended up getting 20 tunes done that way. So that's why it's called 20 of Plenty, because it's a little bit,
a little bit of a lot.
But I totally believe in paying artists what they deserve, so I definitely wanted him to get paid for his work. So we got 20 great transcriptions out of it. So, and we also tested them on a piano player here in town who's a music teacher and knows her reading really well. She can read fast. And we also tested that on her so that we could hear, another instrument. What would that come out? What came out when she would read the music, and it was pretty exact.
It's
so.
amazing. I'll just add, because she was also reading the ones that this other person that we were having do transcriptions, and she would like play part of it and sort of stop and go, well, he's changed the time signature now, and I'm not sure. And then she would get lost with this other guy's transcriptions. But with Vidar's, she'd just like play it through and she goes, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is perfect. Oh, this is lovely. And it was like amazing, kind of magical to us who don't really read music except very painstakingly, to hand somebody a sheet like that and have them just play the tune perfectly, who having never heard it before. It's like, wow, it works. It's amazing. So Vidar really had the folk. Well, he went to a Norwegian folk school institute, or I can't remember the name of it.
The Royal Academy of Music, I think, in Stockholm he went to. So he has got a master's degree. So
folk ethnology or something. But yeah.
Okay.
So there.
Are you hoping to do more since you have so many other tunes?
I would like to. I don't know if I'll put out, well, I probably would put out another booklet, but probably not right away. I have a bunch of tunes that I'm reserving for another project. I also do writing. So I have a writing project that I have illustrations for, and I have written a bunch of tunes that go with that project. So it's actually a book. So that there's a bunch of them that go with that story. So I'm hoping to get that put out at some point. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be another booklet sometime, but not.
It took a long time.
It was a long time.
Oh,
yeah, that was another part of your question. How long did it take? Well, the process took years because I was trying to find the right transcriber. But once I found the right transcriber, I did the grant. So I had a year for the grant time. So I got it done, and we did it. Yeah, I think we used probably the year, fiscal year to do it. So.
Okay. And those books are for sale, 20 of plenty. And maybe this is a good time to have a musical interlude.
Okay. Yep. So I have one I was going to play. This one is called At Long Last. And it kind of represents finding a place of happiness, I guess. Happiness is such a trite term, but like sort of a fullness of spirit after kind of a long journey. So it's called At Long Last.
Concertina shows, but I don't see.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
awesome. That is great.
That was great.
Yep. So that's just one of them. We could do a little tiny bit of a jig too if we have time. But,
Later, maybe.
it's
Yeah.
up to you guys.
Yeah. we
I
can-
say, yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Give us a sample.
Okay. So that was a slower march, and for a dancier one, we could just plug our dances before we do this jig. So this would be a kind of a tune that we would play at a dance, and it's a happy skippy kind of a tune. You want to talk about our dances quick?
Oh, we have a dance coming up April 6th in East Grand Forks at the East Grand Forks Senior Center. It sort of functions as a community center in East Grand Forks, so that's where we hold our dances. April 6th in the afternoon. We've been finding afternoons work better for some people anyway. From 2 to 4:30, and it's free. Well, it's free with donations to help us pay for all the extra costs that our grants don't cover. And then all the dances are taught, and there's live music, and you don't have to know anything. You will know a few things by the time you leave. But
Yeah. The next one after that is
there's one in Boston,
in Boston.
on May
I have a
2nd,
friend.
Saturday, May 2nd.
Whoa. How do we get him in here?
How many dances do you do a year usually?
About 6 or 7, sort of like through the, like 3 in the fall, 3 or 4 in the spring, and then maybe 1 event in the summer, possibly, but sometimes people are just not very dependable in the summer, it seems like. And neither are we, actually. So we end up doing more performing in the summer at things.
Yeah, we're having actually a lot of dances around. So there's a Bemidji series starting up too, and
Now we're playing for Bemidji dance May 18th. We're playing for a Hibbing dance June 1st and a Duluth dance April 20th.
mhm.
So we got lots of stuff coming up.
Yep, and we perform here and there. O'Neil, what is our website?
O'Neil Family Band.
Oh yeah, we have a website, o'neilfamilyband.com. You can look at our events
What are we
coming up.
going to play?
We're gonna play Serenity Jig.
Oh,
I tried to show one of my buddies here, and he's the one I keep in my fiddle case. So this is a fox, and he is an example of one of the 504. But I was trying to get it if he could be in here, but I don't know. He doesn't stand up, so we'll just play. But he's here. He's listening.
Very nice.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Could you tell us a little bit about your creative process? I know, Erin, you said that when you're writing your music, it's like a journaling. Do you set aside time during the day? Do you just let it come to you? And maybe you could talk about your creative process through as it affects all your different art forms, and Jeanne, you as well.
Yeah, so the tunes kind of, I am currently working at an elementary school, so I don't have the open space as much to come up with the tunes at this time, but when I've had open space, like times off or whatever, it's kind of like I get a bad headache, and I know that something needs to come out. So I kind of tune into that, what's inside, kind of the need to bring something out. A lot of the time, that's what it'll be. So if I feel like there's a tune needing to come out, then I'll spend maybe 4 hours trying to get it out sometimes, or it'll sometimes just be there. Like I'll just bring the fiddle up and out comes this tune with all whatever parts is there. So it just depends. I don't know. It's interesting. Then sometimes there'll be something that happens in my life that I really want to write a tune about, and then it'll be more intentional where I'll try to write about that little scenario.
And she'll be sitting in the living room playing random different pieces, like just all over the place. When she knows there's something, but she can't figure out what it is. And then once in a while she'll go, oh, and then she'll follow a little theme for a while and either carry on with it or discard it and change, so it's interesting to listen to because they're just all over the place for hours.
Yeah, and don't necessarily ask me questions or, interrupt or, it can be sort of, I don't know it's an artistic process. So sometimes there can be a lot of emotion involved. And so I'm actually exploring a lot of emotions when I'm doing it. So
I don't bother her much.
Might not be the best time to come and just, even walk by me.
This is true. Oh.
How about like with your fiber folk?
Yeah. So those kind of started as I think inspired by friendship and kind of just a need for bringing some little quirky love into the world. I think I made the first one for one of my friends, but I ended up liking it so much that I kept it instead. It wasn't quite right for her. I mean, like I was trying to make it for her, but then it didn't turn out to be like, it didn't really look like her. And it turns out where I try to make them look like whoever I'm making it for. So it's kind of a gifting process. But then I just sort of started making more of them. So now the ones that I randomly make, I don't know who they're for. I mean, they probably are for somebody in this world, but I don't know. So they just sort of create themselves, and they're very interesting. And the last thing that happens is they have their face, and so that will change it and brings it to life. So I have a couple here that I made for me. This is my fiddle muse, and he has some little funky hair. And I always kind of try to name mine, but this is my guy that helps me with my fiddling. And then this is my troll that helps me with my writing. So I made myself a troll. She's got little bent knees and yeah, so this is Droll the troll, and this is a Loopleton because of his loopy hair. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, this is one of the things I occupy my time with. So yeah, I think it really makes life a lot more fun. So, but if somebody was to commission one, it would be maybe even that if they had special fabrics that they would want to use in it that have nostalgia behind them, or I do recycle when I make them. That's one of my points, is to reuse a lot of these old scraps from our fabric box or from old t-shirts, or everything's useful. And so there's so much so many things that get thrown away these days, and it's sad. So I try to use them. They're useful. So I will stuff it with, old sweatshirts or something like that, but so, and the first one started out as a sock that I just used because it was good still, but it had a hole in the heel. So I just sewed that up, and it was a good little buddy. So, yeah. So if people had some kind of thing they wanted to help them in their life, then they might be able to even help with the fabrics. So that might be neat.
The creative process. Well, with my art, when I was a little kid, I just drew everything that I wanted to have in my life, or that I liked, or that I cared about, caring about it. So when I was a little kid, I drew a lot of animals all the time. Lots of animals on my worksheets that I handed in at school and everywhere, drawings, everywhere. When I got older, I got a little more intentional about what I was drawing, but I would still go out when I was a young adult, quite young adult, go out, and I really love wildflowers in the spring in Iowa, especially. We don't have the same kind of wildflowers here, so that's changed. But I would go out and draw the wildflowers. I don't know, there's something about, I read something once about Japanese artists and how they feel that when they paint like a grasshopper on a grass stem, or those kind of paintings that they do, that they're connecting with that thing, that there's a connection between them and that thing. And I think that made sense to me. It's like, oh, maybe that's what I'm doing, is I'm trying to have a relationship with this thing that I care about. And I drew a lot of drawings with my kids when they were little. I would just follow them around with a sketchbook and try to draw what they were doing. So they're really sketchy, but really some of them would write on, and once in a while I'd get a really good one. But and then landscapes of the fields and the trees. They just, things come into my head, and like the moon coming up. They come into myself, and then I have to. You can't see the moon, but
The moon is in here. Yeah, that's why I brought.
I have to do something about it. Like Erin says, like, I don't get a bad headache, but it's like you get filled with something, and the way that I respond to that is to draw it, or try to capture. A lot of my prints these days have this color in them that shades from one. So for a long time, a lot of my landscapes, for a couple of years, I was trying to capture that color that changes in the sky in the morning and the evening, just that there's different shades of it. And I was trying to get those. Well, that's the moon one mostly, but it doesn't come through very well. This is a one that I did recently. You can't really see this very good either, but it's in the show, but it's black and white. This is the Oxbow River Band. I don't know. There's just things that I see. I love the little houses on the horizons. The horizon lines around here are so flat that started to seem like I'd see the trees on the horizon line and the snow, and the trees would be like letters and words, only not, And I was doing letterpress at the time too, doing some typesetting and making books. But just the way that the trees and the farms sort of spell a language started to be really interesting. I don't know. It's just what comes that I care about, that I see, that comes in, that I want to put out, make something out of it, I guess. Kind of hard to explain, but that's an extension of what I am, I guess. So I don't sit down and I'm going to do, well, sometimes I have to, but.
Oh, that's a commission.
Oh yeah, this is the commission where I did sit down and I have to do this house. It came out really nice. I like it. I can't see it in the picture though. There we go. So I like to work from drawings, but she had seen my work in Iowa in a shop there, and she emailed me and said, I have this old house can you make a print of it? And I got back in touch with her. I said, well, what kind of a print? And she told me the one she'd seen turned out to be a lino cut from the house across the road. That's our neighbor's house. That was one of the first houses in Mallory. It had some really interesting windows and had some windows from the old church. And so I made a print out of it because it just was very nice image.
Cover my face with
she liked it. And so I said, okay, a lino block. And can I draw the house? Where's the house? She said, well, it's in Iowa and it's torn down. So I have a photograph. I said, oh, well, okay. I could look at the photograph. She sent me a really nice photograph. So I worked from the photograph, which I don't like to do because I like to draw, but it came out really nice. I'm just about ready to ship it off to her. I got the edition done, and it took a while. It was before Thanksgiving when she got in touch with me. I said, well, it's going to be a while. So it is. And then this is another lino cut that I did of our cats. I don't know if you can see that one very good either.
Yeah.
But this cat in the front, we still have this one. She's gone. But yeah, it just gets to be playful when I start carving. I love the carving aspect too. With etching, I love the lines, but with the lino cuts, I can get lost in the carving. So that's kind of fun. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's so fascinating, Jeanne. So you also do commissions then?
I have apparently done one now. I haven't done it much, but I can see. I was thinking, well, I do like making. I like old houses. I know the houses, the architecture of the houses is one of the things that I do like to make images of for some reason, and farms. So I was thinking, well, I could make prints for people of their farms or their interesting old houses if people wanted, it's not real cheap, but because it takes a lot of time, but
Right.
they can have an entire edition that they could have. They could have all the prints of that if they wanted.
Yeah.
So
Right. Okay. And so if people wanted to have a commission of a print or a fiber folk, the best way to reach out would be your website. Is that how to get a hold of you? Or?
Well, the O'Neil Family Band is one website, and I have a website, but I don't think I have a phone number on there because I don't like putting things out on the internet.
Sure.
But for me, it would be oneil@rrv.net, redrivervalley.net.
Okay.
Email, yeah, and I think the email for
Email's
me
probably
is on the show, right? But that's would just be my own personal email, which is erin.o'neil0@gmail.com. But probably have to spell that out at some point.
Well, if people come to the show, they can look at our information.
Yep.
Yes.
They'd have to you just kind of have to find us most of the time
As we run by.
or come to our shows and get to know us and then that kind of process.
And there will be information on the, sorry, Kristin, there's information on the online exhibit.
Oh, that's right.
So we've got all of your work that's in this exhibit online that Kristin has put together with one of your fiddle tunes, Erin. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, and that has information on there, I believe, how to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great way to see the exhibit if you can't make it to Thief River.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we have we do also have a northcountrydance.org website that has I think there's an email on there.
Yeah, there's a
that's for
contact button.
That would reach us also. That has schedules and information about our dances and history about the local traditions and things like that, if anybody's interested in that. So that's northcountrydance.org. There's o'neilfamilyband.com. Both have some kind of way to contact us. So,
okay.
And are you interested or available for, say, if a community wanted you to come and play? And
oh yeah, we do that.
Mhm.
We have our fee and our mileage and all that. Yeah, we do that a lot in communities and travel. We've been up to Roseau, for a couple hours. If it's more than 3 hours, it gets to be a little expensive just to drive there, So,
Sure.
I mean, it gets expensive to have to travel that far, but
Right.
we do.
Mhm.
We go to Duluth, that's 5 hours. So but we know people there. So they come here too. We trade. So
Yep, we've done all sorts of events. So we can do weddings and gatherings. Some people just want to have a dance with some. I think there was a church group that wanted to have a dance. We did that in a little barn that they had, and just any people's ideas for land parties or house parties or anything like that.
we did the Climax Small Town Saturday Night event one year, a few years back.
Yep, and we've got a library series coming up.
Yeah, bunch of
Libraries.
Oh,
So yeah, we did a show at the Red Lake Falls Library a month ago or so, and she said, "Well, we've got a network of libraries. Shall I share this information?" We said, "Sure." So now we've got something in the Warroad Library and something in the Greenbush Library, and we're doing something in the Grand Forks Public Library, and I think there's one other one, I can't remember. And so suddenly we have all these library shows coming up. So it's okay. It's good. Keeps us in practice. Because we play, well, some of us, not all of us all the time, but some of us will play every night pretty much, just some tunes. But if we have a show coming up, then we specifically practice for the show.
Yes, and we practice too.
Yeah, not only do we play, but we also practice.
Okay. Yeah, is there anything that you want to mention that we just didn't ask you? Anything about anything else that you do, or anything about your art or the process, or anything else you want to show us?
I think that's pretty much what we had prepared for now. Our cat is snoring behind us, so
well, and you have many pieces for sale in the exhibit, right? Not everything's for sale, but quite a bit.
Yeah, most of mine are. I think all of mine are, but not all of Erin's are.
Yeah, some of them live with us, so we can't sell them.
Right. No, and it's great when you walk into the exhibit. It's great because we have on a couple of walls are the prints of yours, Jeanne, and then some of the metal pieces in the exhibit also have some of your prints, and then the couple of other walls are your fiber folk and your 20 of Plenty tune booklet. So it's great. It's a beautiful exhibit. Lots of beautiful work for people to see. And if you do go to the exhibit, those of you listening, please sign our guest booklet. We'd like to just have an idea of how many people come by. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to the reception that's coming up. And I just want to say that again. So that's April 24th, Wednesday, from 6 to 8. And that's at right outside the gallery, right at Northland.
Yeah, maybe we'll
free parking.
Bring
Free
a climbing
parking.
board and do some demos.
Yeah, and there's no cost to go to the exhibit or the reception. And we should come prepared to dance, I guess.
Well, no, you wouldn't have to, but we might do, we might do a little clogging for you at some point. Jigging.
That would be great. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing all your art and your talents in our exhibit and with the region.
Thanks for having us.
This is great.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
been fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In this
So we're